What's up, guys? Welcome back to a bonus episode of Pro Chat. We're going to do a little bit of a different setup today. I think it'd be quite a cool one to do for a specific athlete kind of profile, spotlight, case study, whatever you want to call it, after bigger wins and achievements within the team. So I'm joined by Emil over from over virtually from Denmark, but we've just had a big result at NPC Austria, wasn't it?
Austrian Oak.
NPC Austria, Bikini overall winner, and new IFBB Pro. So Tindra, was it last weekend or the weekend before?
It's been 3 weeks this weekend.
Is it 3 weeks? Okay.
Yeah, it was the 25th of August.
Right. So I guess the most valuable thing, so the listeners can also take some insight into the thought process from a coaching perspective and get a bit of an insight into the background of the kind of results, so to speak. Like, what's the coaching process been like? Like, how long have you been working together? Like, where was the start point? Do you feel as though, like, in those situations, you're always going to have clients that say, I want to turn pro, or I want to do this. And then from a coaching perspective, we've got to add a certain sense of realism to that in terms of timeframes and objectives, etc. So what did that look like at the start?
Right. So it's actually right around this time last year. Tindra inquires for Team Procoach, and I get to talk to her. Now, when I talked to her, she had just competed in her first show, which was the GASP show in Sweden. That was a debut, and she won her class in the the open class in the pro qualifier and went to the overalls, but didn't win the pro card. And her situation then was she wanted to do more shows. Obviously, it's your debut, you win your pro qualifier class. Like, she wanted to continue.
Yeah.
But her then coach said, no, you need improvements. But she didn't feel like she was done with the season. She wanted to do more. And as far as I understood, she had prepped for a year.
Yeah.
Via that show. So, if you prep for a year, 12 months, you just don't want to do just one show when you just won.
Yeah.
I understand her previous coach's standpoint, because that's the same thing I told her after doing one more show. Like, you need more, you can win your class, but you're not at the level where you win the overall yet. But she signed with me, and I said, okay, we've got the show in Denmark. I think we had 3 weeks, and let's try and bring you in better for that one. And we did. She was sharper and fuller, so we were happy with that. And she won her pro qualifier class again and went to the overall, but didn't win the pro card. And it was like, okay, you're definitely at a good level, but if you want to be the last one standing next time, we need improvement. So we made the plan to take the entire of 2024 off and compete in the spring of 2025, a whole year of improvements, and give her body a break after that long prep, and then go for the spring of 2025.
Yeah.
Now, a thing worthy to mention when we're talking about Tindra is she is not normal. Like, we all get the clients or the athletes. I want to be a pro. I want to do this. I want to do that. But Tindra lives in a box. Like, this is what she wants to do. She knows where she wants to go, and there's nothing standing in her way. So I think between the start of her prep, which have been 12 months prior, so we're talking like autumn 2022, and her pro card win almost 2 years later, I think she had 3 off-plan meals total.
Yeah.
Which was like post-show of the show that we did. She is very rigid with everything, very strict. So it's been very easy as a coach, because there wasn't a massive thing to navigate through post-show. There was no real fluctuations or water weight gained or nothing like that. It was just like a couple meals off, and she was back to work. And so we went into the improvement phase, and that was November. We went into post-show phase, and then I think already in February or March, I say to her, now I know that we spoke of doing 2025 first, but I feel like we've made so much improvements already that I think it would be wise if you stepped on stage for the spring regional in Sweden, the GASP show, just so we have the ability to compete later on, because obviously you need to tick off the regional.
Yeah.
So I said to her, I know you're deep in your off season, and we're not coming to the regional to compete. You're doing it to qualify. it's just the thing you need to do. And so she did. She stepped on stage, full blown off season, just to get the regional out of the way. And we were like, okay, if we decide to compete this year, we now got the ability to. And I think another month after the regional, I said to her, I think we should do the autumn. And so we started prep, and I said to her, well, we've got time on our hands. We don't have a regional we need to time. So we're just going to prep and, just focus on everything being perfect. No need to rush anything, no need to dig deeper than necessary, because we've got all the time in the world, and we've got basically shows every weekend of the autumn.
Yeah.
And so we started prep, and we didn't have a show picked, but it was like, she just dropped fast, and we weren't pushing things at all. I think the highest her cardio went was 30 minutes 5 times a week. And I think she was maybe at 1,500, 1,600 calories at her lowest point. And it was around that time I was like, okay, you're starting to look ready now.
Yeah.
And that's when we kind of dialed in on a show and said, okay, we've got Austria in the end of August. I think at that time it was 7-8 weeks out from that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we need to, dial off the last bits, and we'll be ready. And we'll be ready ahead of time also, which is always a good thing. Mm. So we said, let's do Austria, registered for that, and set ourselves for it. And then when she was around 5 weeks out, I said, we're starting to look ready here. Now, Tindra lives in Sweden, but not too far away. So she comes to Denmark sometimes. So I said, if I could see you in person, I can get a better grip for where we're at. It's always nice if you have the option.
Yeah.
So she did. I think she was 4 weeks out when she came to my house. And I said, yeah, we're not digging anymore. Like at that point, we had quad striations, we had glute striations. But the thing is that her lower body gets lean before the upper body, which is it's not the typical situation with girls. And I felt like I still wanted the midsection to be sharper, but I couldn't at the cost of like more glute striations, because it's bikini. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we're going to need to just try and manage that waistline when we get closer to the show in terms of food choices, etc. Can I screen share? Because I've
right. So which ones do you want to start with? Blue bikini, orange bikini?
Yeah, blue bikini.
Blue bikini, okay.
So blue bikini is the check-in that she sends me the 26th of July, which is around 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
And that was the day she came to my place. Now, when I saw that, I said, okay, that rear shot cannot get any sharper.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean with the midsection? Because sometimes you'll see like crazy ab separation and veins on the stomach. And not that we want to bring that, but I felt like that rear shot is so sharp compared to the midsection.
Yeah.
But when I saw her in real life, obviously these are still shots, but when you see them moving, when she's doing her walk, when she's doing her turns, and there's glute striations and quad striations, like, okay, we need to be careful here.
Yeah.
So this was the look of the day where I said, okay, let's remove the cardio. Let's try and, start bringing down activity levels, bring food up, reduce fatigue in general, and feed you up a bit. I had fed her up a bit at this point. This was not the fullness always carried. She's had a few days at this point, I think, of no cardio and a bit of extra carbs.
Yeah.
Because when I saw her in person, I wanted to get a real grip of the look, and we had plenty of time, obviously, to do so. So from here, it was like, okay, let's wash off fatigue. Let's find a look we like, because we still had 4 weeks. So we had plenty of time to juggle between looks, try and run her flatter, try and run her fuller, and take notes for which look do we want to bring, which look do we like the most. And if you go to the orange bikini,
is it this one? Is it the same in the video, or is that a different one?
No, that's a different one. That's a different one.
For some reason it's not letting me switch between the two. Orange bikini is this.
Yeah. So that is 16 days out. So it's been another 2 weeks at that point. And it's more noticeable in the rear shot of that check-in, the extra fullness that she was carrying at that point.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, she's not done cardio for almost 3 weeks, I think, and she's still like 2.5 weeks out.
Yeah.
And in between that space, it was really hard to find a baseline, because it was like every time we made a change, like, you know, the slightest change would make a fluctuation in some sort of way. So the look was actually changing quite drastically. So from, she was almost a month out, she was checking in with me daily for the last like 30 days, because I was micromanaging the look day to day. We were making some manipulations to her sodium intake, to add fullness as well, because she was just at her baseline food at this point was 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
And no cardio. And you know, there with the waist not being, it's not that she has a big waist, it's not that, but you know, relative to how the posterior chain is looking, I wanted to bring the waist in. It's like, if we can carry a bit more fullness from just sodium, and not food, that's ideal. And so I think that check in there in the orange bikini, I was like, this is a look that we really like. That was, she had dropped another 1.5 kilos from the first shot you saw. Most of it just, you know, fatigue, inflammation. At this point, she was barely moving. She was like 10,000 steps, no cardio, just plenty of food. So a fresh physique. And from there, we just tried to hold that. We were like, we like this look, let's try and hold it. But with a physical job, you know, and just general life, there's always things to manage. So from here and until the video that you have on the right side, we still had to manage a few things. And every day was just a case like, today you'll have 40 grams extra carbs. Today you'll have 80 grams extra carbs. Today you will have no extra carbs, because we're just trying to hold that one specific look.
Yeah.
And it's not always that you have the opportunity to do that, but because we were ready so much ahead of time, we could really play around with things.
Yeah.
Now this video here is 5 days out. And at this point, it had just gotten too dark for her to take her pictures in the typical spot outside. So she sends me this video, and I was like, damn, we're definitely ready for the weekend here. And she's around the same body weight as she was in that left side. You know, sometimes different lighting and different spots just gives you a different look. So when I saw this, I was like, yeah, visual confirmation. This is what we're trying to bring.
Yeah.
Because what's nice in that front shot there is you see so many separations between the hamstrings, the quads, the glutes, but none of it is looking, you know, dry, like too dry, because they don't want to see striations and dryness and veins. But there's none of that. It's just like nice full muscle, separated muscle. So it's like we can bring this. We can. I think we can, you know, make the argument that this is not too much condition for bikini.
Yeah.
So that's what we aimed to bring. And this was five days out, as I said, and it was just a case of daily check-ins. And yeah, the final set of pictures, that is the shots that we took right before leaving for a venue. So we had gone in the morning and got her tanning, hair, and makeup done. And then we just stayed the rest of the, we had maybe 10 minutes of transportation to the venue. So we just went back home and chilled for the day. And, you know, this was the final pictures we took right before leaving for venue. So this was a couple hours out. And as you can see, I think we managed to bring that same look quite well.
Yeah.
What happened then was the show was delayed.
Of course.
Yeah, as always. And we were backstage, and the lighting backstage was really shit. And she was telling me that she started to feel you know, a little bit of bloating in the stomach. And I was like, you're running a bit flat. I want to feed you, but I don't want the stomach, you know, to start bloating. So I actually, you know, I didn't tell her that, obviously, but like my own reflections looking back, it's annoying because you don't know what time you'll be on stage. Like, it's okay, but is it going to be 30 minutes? Is it going to be 2 hours? Because if it's 2 hours, we can put some food in. But if you're on stage in 10 minutes, like, I don't want you to eat now. So what ended up happening was she was running a bit too flat, in my opinion. Um, but it's always hard when shows delayed.
Yeah.
The look we brought to stage was flatter than this, and it was not my ideal look, but it was still enough to secure the win. But that's just experience and another lesson learned.
Yeah.
Still happy with what was brought to stage, but I could just tell backstage that, like, you're running flat, your midsection is still not as tight as it should be, but that's when you just remain calm, especially across to your athlete, and tell them, you are on point, you look amazing, just go and do your thing.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I did backstage, which I've never done before, was I took her phone. I confiscated her phone, because Tindra gets in her own head, focuses on other competitors. They're looking great. Am I big enough? And she started, I just went to the bathroom to take a piss, and she was just sending me videos, from people attacking her. Look at this girl, look at that girl. I just went straight from the bathroom to her backstage, and I took the phone out of her hand and said, no more of that.
Yeah.
You've done your bit. She was starting saying, I don't think I'm even winning my class.
Once you get in your head, it just materializes to more and more there.
Yeah. I saw a quote the other day, which I thought was really cool. It said, if you spend a lot of time in your head, make sure it's a nice place.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, very true. Especially for peak week and show day, for sure.
Yeah. So what I did backstage to just try and save the fullness a bit was just sodium water, because I didn't want to put too much food in her belly, and just a little bit of jam. I was just pouring that into her, like drip feeding it, because I didn't want the stomach to distend.
Yeah.
And then she won her class, and was going into the overall. So we did another shot of salt and jam, and she went into the overalls. And I think the look was a little fuller for the overall than it was for the class. And I think that was needed for us, because the girls in the overall was bigger than her. So if she had come in as a pancake, I don't think she would have gotten the win necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, she ended up taking the win. And that was obviously a huge accomplishment for both of us. At that time, it's not even been a year since her debut.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say, specifically from a bikini perspective, what would you say are the biggest take homes in terms of aspects to manage, whether that's the final look in terms of presentation, or like, key lessons for prep in terms of things to be mindful of and avoid to make sure you can execute a smooth prep?
As I said, Tindra executed her off season to absolute perfection. And I think that, there's no way of saying that her next prep's going to be just as easy in terms of low cardio and high food, because in my experience, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, regardless of how perfect your off season's been. But I think we can agree that the better a starting point you have for your prep, the easier prep you're going to have. Like, if you're not too fat, and you've got your baseline calories pretty high in off season, you set yourself up well for a prep. And I think for bikini girls, especially, who don't carry as much muscle mass, who can't afford to use as many androgens as other classes, they don't always have the same tools available to keep muscle mass, which can afford you to be able to dig harder. I think it's important, especially for bikini girls, to not get sloppy in the off season. I think we pulled off 10 kilos in total for Tindra, which is still 20% of her body weight. So it's still a pretty good amount. So that's, at this point, I've coached a good amount of bikini girls at that point. It's always a struggle getting them down, because, they just don't have the same level of muscle mass. So they have to go to extremities in terms of calories and cardio compared to most other categories. And then the more I dive into the bikini, it's just that posing is so important. The posing bit is so important. So actually, I've started just outsourcing that bit, because obviously I don't walk in heels. I can, when I look at your still shots, I can give you a few pointers, but I can't teach you to walk in heels and do your turns and all that. So I've started outsourcing that way more, and early on the process with athletes, because even with men, posing is just not practiced enough. But especially for the bikini class, where the overall look and that is so important. Yeah, I've always felt the bikini was one of the tougher classes, because it's like, what are the judges looking for? And show to show, you'll see very, very different looks winning. But I feel like I'm starting to get a much better grip of it. And that it's not always the girl with the biggest glutes that win, because you can win so many points on posing, for example. Especially, it's not even something we see in check-ins, but when they do the walk, the judges will ask them to walk 3 steps forward. That is so important. Like, how are the glutes looking in that walk is super, super important. Hip positioning, there's so many things going on. And I think as a coach, if you don't got it yourself, outsource it to someone who knows.
Yeah.
That's not a shame. As a coach, you should be able to admit what's your expertise and what is not.
Yeah.
And Tindra worked with Gabby. I think her name's Gabby, a posing coach that she worked with.
Right.
And they did really well. Now, obviously, she's a pro now, and she's prepping for her pro debut. She wants to keep the show secret for now, I think, to take off a bit of pressure.
Yeah.
But they started working on her pro routine like the day after, because then as a pro, you have a much longer individual presentation where they include that walk. And that's why we see the walk in the amateurs divisions, because it's part of the pro requirement. So I think that they do the walk to see who would do well as a pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great night. We ended up being awake till like the morning, because we had an hour of travel to the airport.
Oh, did you go back the same day?
Yeah, so she got off stage at like 10 p.m. and my flight was like 6 a.m.
Right.
the morning after. So it didn't really, and we had an hour drive to the airport. So it was like, it didn't make sense for us to go back to bed and get up his early, because we wanted kind of to celebrate. So what we did was we went back to the Airbnb, packed up, took the drive to the airport, and just found, a Burger King and bought a bottle of wine and just sat and had a good time.
Yeah. Nice.
Then my flight.
And a bottle of wine.
Yeah, that was what we did.
I was going to ask what the pro debut is, but that'll be under wraps then, so that's fine.
Yeah, it will be this year.
Okay.
Yeah. And Tindra she's a force of nature. So the day after the show, she was just like, yep, just give me the plan.
Yeah.
There's been nothing off the rails either.
Yeah.
And at this point, she's already improved drastically. So we got the feedback from the judge. And he said, as a pro, you just need to bring much bigger glutes. Your posing's perfect. The entire look is good. You just need bigger glutes. So, I've thrown some glute programming at her and a massive food bump. And so far, it's like, it already looks like she's had a couple months in off season.
Yeah.
She progresses so fast. It's absolutely crazy.
Straight back to work. And I know for a fact that she, we don't know how she'll fare in the pro league this year, because obviously we don't have massive amounts of time. I know I can already say now, 3 weeks after the Procoach win, that she will be improved for her pro debut. But is it going to be enough? We don't know, because Tindra's next goal is Olympia qualification. Like, she's very cold with that. That's her next goal, and she knows where she's going, and she'll get there. But if we don't get it this season, I think we'll do the autumn of next year. Yeah,
because she, this one off season we had was so fruitful, and the next one's just going to be more fruitful, because she's even better at training now. She's even more motivated. She's got more experience within all, because she's a brand new athlete. Like, she's been doing this for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And we both know how much that day-to-day skill of just managing everything matters. So yeah, she's a very exciting athlete to look out for.
Good. Solid work, solid work. What's coming up your side with athletes over the next couple of months?
Right. So we just had the Danish regional last weekend where I had a first timers bikini on. We both knew that we are doing this to, try out stage and do the prep, but we're not coming for any placings and didn't get so either. She just needs more muscle. And then I had a men's physique guy on who took the overall win.
Yeah.
So nice. And he's got another show this coming weekend, not in the NPC. It's a Danish federation, I think associated with the IFBB. Then I've got another guy doing that show too. I've got a bikini girl in the US doing a show over there. I think it's NPC. And then I've got Tindra, the Italian girl, doing the UK show, the Europeans.
Yeah.
Now, Tindra competed last weekend as well, but and you and I agreed that we thought that look was superb, but it wasn't rewarded from the judges. I think in the lineup, she stood out too much in terms of ending up maybe looking a bit stringy. Because the other girls were bigger, that's one thing, but they weren't anywhere near her conditioning as well. So the whole look was a bit more thick, if you know what I mean, which I think made Tindra stand out as a bit stringy. So for this weekend in the Europeans in the UK, we're trying to do two things. We're trying to come in a bit softer and fuller, and we're trying to get rid of quad striations. So every day is leg day, and cardio has been brought back in. And over the past 3 days, she's had over 1,000 grams of carbs. And just this morning, I was like, we're starting to spill a bit too much. So now we're pulling back and trying to find that middle ground, which is good timing because we're 3 days out.
Yeah.
And the quad lines are disappearing slowly. So a few more days of hammering the bike and the leg extension, and she should be good. What else? I've got that men's physique guy who won the overall, who will compete this weekend as well. He's got a Masters Pro qualifier in October.
Yeah.
He's 45 plus. So he's got a Masters Pro qualifier in October. And then I've got two natural guys prepping for the Natural European Championships, which will be hosted here in Denmark. One as a pro and one amateur.
Is that Daniel's one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Daniel's the guy who turned pro 2 years ago and became the natural Mr. Olympia and men's physique, or Olympia champion, whatever they call it. And he took all of last year off. And then this year, we kind of made a joke out of it because in his debut year, he won the Danish championships, he won the world championships, and he won the Olympia. But he's not European champion. So it's like we're missing a title.
Yeah, yeah.
It's being hosted on home soil. So we're like, we kind of need to do it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And he made massive improvements as well. He's so much bigger now.
He looks incredible for crazy condition as well.
Yeah. He's so easy to prep. Like the slightest manipulation and you know what to expect. It's like, okay, I'm going to do 30 grams of carbs and we'll see a new low tomorrow.
Yeah.
So he's competing as a pro. And then I've got this 18-year-old kid who is just a freak. He's trained for 2 years. And he did his debut at the Natural Danish Championships back in May. He turned 18 like 2 weeks before, and he got second place in a classic lineup of like 18 guys.
Yeah.
Not even juniors, like open classic. And he then qualified for the European Championships in October, and he's doing that too. So nice. This kid's 18 and he's going to end up having like a 45-week prep.
Yeah.
He's just, yep.
Is this the blonde guy?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he looked really good. Really good. Nice structure as well.
Yeah. You know what? I was like, this dude's hamstrings are so big. Like I've never seen anything like it relative to his training age. And I was telling him, your hamstring is bigger than mine. He was like, nah, it can't be. So we actually took a picture, and his hamstrings are definitely bigger than mine. And his arm's almost bigger than mine too. And he's been training for 2 years. He's natural. He's 18, still in school.
Crazy.
Yeah, the genetics talk. So I met his mom at the show, and she just did like a bicep pose with him for a picture. And I was like, yeah, that's where you got your genetics from.
That's where it comes from.
Yep. And she knows. She was like, I know this guy's got so much potential.
Yeah.
And he got full support from her. So that's
good.
so cool. Yeah. But not many 18-year-old kids in school can endure a 45-week prep.
No.
Because I was telling him, like, dude, do you know what you're saying yes to when you say I want to continue for another 20 weeks?
Yeah.
He was like, I'll bring them hell. Okay, okay, dude. He's super
cool. You know.
Yeah, and then obviously Tindra's pro debut by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah,
very good
season. It's been a nice season so far.
Yeah, they should hopefully have a good result in Euros this weekend with your bikini girl.
There's two of the judges who were in Italy last week too.
Yeah.
So, hopefully they'll recognize her and see she tried to fit the criteria more this week.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool, man. Well, hopefully next time we get on, it will be Tindra's Olympia qualification sorted, and then we can rerun the podcast.
Or a Dinero Pro card. That would be
sweet. Or another Bikini Pro card. Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's the Masters Pro qualifier as well. I think my guy in men's physique could.
Yeah, definitely. You mean the one in is it the one in Italy again, or a different one?
Yeah, Italy.
Yeah, Euro Masters, good show.
Yeah.
Good show.
Yeah, no, I think Sachs won a pro card there before, hasn't he?
And Louis Davies with me last year in Classic.
I see.
Same show. It's in Milan again.
Yeah.
Good show. Cool, man. Right. Well, I'm gonna pop that up today, and then hopefully we can rerun this soon with another Carter Olympia qual.
I certainly hope so.
Good, man. Where can everyone find you on Instagram? What's going on with that side?
Borel, BOREL _ Team Procoach. That's my IG. That's where I share a bit of my own process. I do have a private WhatsApp group as well that I link to on my story a few times for people who want to dive more into the details of my own bodybuilding. But I do share a fair bit of my clients on my Instagram, and also just a few educational bits here and there, and a lot of my kit. I do share a lot of my kit, so if you're not into following that, you're probably gonna unfollow me again.
Good man. Yeah.
She's coming to a show with me this weekend.
Oh yeah.
So, we swap every Friday, me and her mom. And so I get her tomorrow. It's my turn tomorrow, and I gotta leave for a show in the other end of the country. Yeah. So I'm picking her up from the nursery and driving straight there, bringing a fold-out bed, everything. I bought her noise canceling headphones, because the show is going to be loud. I assume. So that's going to be great fun.
It'll be good. Is that the first show she's been to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
And we have to sleep there, so we're staying at my athlete's house. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
As if you aren't tired enough.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. I'm peaking a girl in the US too. It's going to be great fun.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Have the white monsters ready to go.
My huge MVP, my client Nikolai, he brought me a whole box crate of monsters last weekend because he was at the show that we hosted, the Danish regional. He was like, I got a gift for you. So I know you need it. It's like, sweet.
Good man. He knows what's up. I will pop your bio in I'll put your Instagram handle in the bio. Guys, if you're looking for coaching, we are taking on new athletes at the moment. If you want to work with Emil, give him a message. Thank you for listening, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.